Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be reunited with Merced for your second film with his fantastic film, The Morning Of. Let's take a look at the clip.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Is this supposed to help you? Rub your shoulders at funerals? This is going as far as it's gonna go. You understand me?
Mi mommy. Say something! Say something! I'm sorry!
Merced, welcome back.
I'm so happy to be back, Danny.
You came back with more movies.
More movies and hopefully better.
Oh my God, no, well, seriously, well, they were both fantastic. What are you talking about? They're both brilliant. No, really lovely to have you here. I don't take it for granted when you come back to New Filmmakers. The Morning Of, so many questions, but for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, no, first off, thanks for having me. I mean, I'm such a big fan of New Filmmakers Los Angeles and all the support that you guys have shown me over the years. This film wouldn't be possible without New Filmmakers Los Angeles because of the new narratives grant that we were supported with a couple years ago. So
how was that getting that?
It was, life-changing because this film wouldn't have been made otherwise with the support of New Filmmakers and Warner Brothers Discovery to get that grant and to just propel us into production. I mean, it was everything.
Wow.
But to tell you about the film, yeah, it's a story about a woman named Maribel Munoz who attends the funerals of strangers as a way to cope with the loss of her mother. And by the end of it, it all just kind of comes crashing and falling down on her. And it's all I'll say before spoiling it.
Merced, this was a really fantastic film. Like, I mean, I have never seen a film like this with this storyline. It was such a unique way of dealing with something so personal for this incredible actor, by the way, my goodness. Where did this story kind of journey for you? Where was the inspiration, and how did that kind of storyline lead it into deciding to make this into a film?
Yeah, so it's funny enough, this was actually the first germ of an idea I ever had to make a movie back in 2016. This was the first movie I ever wanted to make before my previous 3 films, before Manos de Oro, the film I brought here back in 2021. But I've been sitting on this idea and this concept and theme of death and grief and learning how to move on for several years now. And it wasn't until I started writing the script maybe in 2022 that I felt I was ready to finally tackle it. But it took years of me just learning how to be a better filmmaker, feeling a bit more mature to tell this like very deep personal story. But it was back in 2016 when I first had the idea, really based on fear, my own fears of death and grief, and not so much like the physical feeling of death and what happens during anyone's death.
Yeah.
But it more so has to do with the loss of someone in your life, like the fear of what happens after someone in your life is gone, and how do you react? How do you then navigate the earth with your loved one not being there anymore? So those are fears that are constantly perpetuating, like just running through my head all the time. Maybe for better or for worse, I don't know. But
absolutely.
I always there's a saying that I always reference that filmmakers don't go to therapy; they make movies about it. And we love
that right there.
We love therapy, we do, but I gotta say, like, I put everything into this film and tried to give it as much as of a personal touch as I could.
Oh, Merced, there's so many important things about just being a filmmaker, being a human, grief, experience trauma, all of those things. I mean, you can't help but watch it, but, self-internalize to your own experience, whether you've been through it, whether you haven't, or whether you're empathizing to this character who's taken you on this journey. Your actors were like, I mean, of course, the stakes are high in this particular, storyline, but like, how did you go about bringing these actors together? Because, whoa.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that took the longest in order to make this film. In fact, I think we found our lead, Natalia Villegas, played brilliantly by the incredible Natalia Villegas. We found her maybe 3 weeks before production.
Wow.
And it was, we were really getting close because I auditioned many people and I saw many submissions, but it wasn't until I saw Natalia's face. It must have been an Instagram post from her agency or something, and I just said, that's the one. And we auditioned, we did Zoom auditions back and forth. I spoke to my producers, and it was kind of a no-brainer at that point. But yeah, she was, I mean, from the beginning, just what a what a stellar performer. What a now really good friend that she's become of mine, and someone that I look forward to working with in the future as well.
Yeah.
The priest, played by Mr. Julio Cesar Cedillo,
So good.
who was the lead of my previous film that I brought here in 2021. So that was a phone call that I made to my sweet buddy Julio. I love him to bits, and right away he jumped on it because he's such a big supporter of me, and I just love him to death.
He's captivating, isn't he? He's
He's
like,
the best.
It's like, oh my goodness.
There's nothing he can't
Yeah.
do. He's one of my heroes. I love that man.
And I mean, listen, so you've been on a journey. It's been 2016 that you kind of, this first idea. It's amazing when you get to make your first idea, all these years later. And then obviously you've got a budget to make this film the way you want to make this film. How is that experience like, like taking something that you've done and all the films you've made in between? What did you kind of learn differently maybe about this particular film and how you wanted to articulate?
I always tell people, like, if Manos de Oro, my previous film, was a bachelor's degree, this was my PhD in filmmaking, because it was it was seminal for me in my career. I'm still learning from this experience, to be quite honest with you, but it really did wipe the floor with me. It was 5 times the budget, 6 times the budget of my last film, double the crew. I had over 170 extras that I had to direct in this film. I mean, it was just complete madness. To graduate from my previous film was a very small, intimate character study to a intimate character study that was much bigger on a much larger scale. Was really challenging. Had to sacrifice a lot for it, but I really learned more than anything how to work with producers, because I never had producers before. All these are all filmmakers that I met through this festival and other programs like this one, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's what it's all about,
Yeah.
connecting with people, and now they're sweet friends of mine and collaborators that I hope to continue working with
Of
long into the
course.
future. But it was just learning how to be a filmmaker at a much bigger scale, working with
Yeah.
bigger toys, bigger crews, and actors who are just giving it their all, and me being their leader and their director to get them to this emotional promised land that is just very, very hard to do when you're on such a limited time frame and schedule. But
Yeah.
I'm very proud of this film. I think if there's anything I really took away from it, is just how to be not to be precious, is to really just find things on set, never come in with preconceived notions and ideas of what a story and what a character can be. I hired the best people that I could, and I had my full faith and trust in them, and I just couldn't be prouder of what we made.
Oh, well, you deserve it. You really do, and I know, I'm sure it was such an amazing experience for all of your, your cast and crew to experience this. Now, this really was wonderfully directed. This was a film that I could sit back as a producer and be like, wow, this film was so brilliantly directed, and not easy to direct as well, because you've got this insane church, which was like, whoa, like beautiful church, which you filmed in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
And what was so incredible as well is obviously that these performances are high stake, and so I'm just curious, because of the emotional context with all of these characters and what they're going through. I mean, there is that one particular scene where I was so uncomfortable I forgot I wasn't even breathing, because it was so uncomfortable and so brilliantly well acted. How did you approach your directing in this film? How did you kind of, it's the difference between writing it and then when you go to directing it and then work with the actors. Like, how was your approach in working with your actors?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was really just coming in with a shot list and coming in as prepared as I possibly could. But the minute you get to set and you see your actors in wardrobe, and you see the extras sitting at the pews in the church, and you see the light hitting their face and they're in hair and makeup, and you go, okay, that isn't going to work. My ideas that I'm coming into this are not going to work. So I think the mark of a good director, and certainly something that I really had to experience while I was there, is to pivot. What is going to work for the moment? If a line isn't coming out correctly, how can we pivot to make it better, and not being so hell-bent on my wishes as a director and what it is that I wrote. I'm very flexible. I'm not very precious with my work. I think I used to be a lot more, but I think the older that I've gotten and the more mature that my directing has gotten, that's been a consequence of it, but for the better. So really how I approached the directing was to trust the process. And I know that's a blanket answer to give, but
yeah, of
I
course.
trusted the process of my collaboration with my team, with my actors, and taking suggestions from everybody. I mean, I would even grab a PA and go, what do you think about that shot?
Yeah.
Is that a pretty good shot? And some of my favorite shots in the film are just coming from other collaborators that are just, recommending, suggesting, because I always give the same speech when I'm on all of my movies.
Yeah.
I made 4 now. The minute you get to my set, it's as much yours as it is mine now. I give agency to everybody that's on my set to make the best film possible, because you're spending 12, 14, 16-hour days on set. You want to be there, not just because you're getting paid, of course, but it's an art form, but it's a business. But I firmly believe in marrying both, so that we can just walk away happy artistically and commercially. You know?
Well, you know what? That is an example of why you deserve the opportunity to make this film, through this grant, because you really do care about everyone on set and the collaborative efforts, and it's such an important part as a filmmaker to recognize, and it's so part of the fabric of who you are as a human being. Now, having this idea. We're about to see it on the big screen here, which I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too.
And hearing that reaction, like, what has been the reaction to this film for you?
What's so beautiful about what I've seen, the way I've seen people react to this film is that regardless of your age, race, religious denomination, X, Y, and Z, death and grief is universal. I mean, we all go through it. At some point or another, you're going to lose someone very important in your life, which is something that, you just cannot help. It's going to happen. So I'll have my friends, my family members go, oh, that's my mom, or I experienced that when my grandfather passed away, or when my sister passed away, and they find a way to then apply it to their life. And to me, that's what cinema's all about. I make these films that put characters in these like hyper-specific circumstances and situations, and they have to sort of navigate their way through the world, figuring out how they feel. And it's almost like a mirror image of what I want people to feel. If you can feel that you watch my cinema and you watch my films and in a way are learning how to navigate the world through what it is that I made for you and for the audiences, then to me that's the success. Regardless of festivals or awards, if you can just connect with it and have a reaction to it, that's to me the best. But of course I make drama films, this. I'm a big dramatic filmmaker, so if you're crying, I did my job ideally.
I was crying with my cats, just so you know, all right? By myself with my cats, and in fact, not just that, I just called my loved ones, after I watched your film, because we know, it's a reminder of how precious life is.
That's right.
And that's something that I felt with your film, and also just the empathy of one that's gone through something like that as well. And, you go on such a journey with your film, like, you're feeling lots of different things, but you always leave us coming away with something very powerful. So
that's the idea, yeah.
Well done. Okay, so 4 in the bag. What's next?
Feature films.
It's happening now?
It's happening, yeah. I mean, I'm done making shorts, at least for the foreseeable future. Just
hey, but you're good at making shorts, so yeah.
No, thank you. I mean, I look, careers are built on short films, and then the long-term strategy is to sustain a career with feature films and directing for television and whatnot. So I think I don't want to say I've graduated from short films, but I think at the phase of my career now, I just turned 30 a couple days ago.
Oh, great birthday!
Yeah, thank you. So I'm ready to just work on a feature film, and funny enough, this was a proof of concept for a feature film version of the same story that I'm hoping to tell. So I'm working on that. It's another more budget-friendly film that I'm working on, feature film that I'm working on, called The Thing About Elephants. It's about relationships.
Wow.
So I got 2 hopefully in the pipeline that'll come out ideally in the next maybe 3, 4, 5 years. But
that's amazing.
That's the 1-2 punch. It's this one and another, and if I can get those made in the next couple of years, I'd be pretty happy. But I'm a writer-director. I only direct what I write, and I write what I direct. It's just to me, I can't unmarry the two.
Well, you couldn't have done a better job in making a proof of concept short film for your feature, and I can't wait to see the extended version.
Thank you.
And all of the projects. But we're so proud of you at New Filmmakers LA, and I want to let you go because literally he's about to go probably on stage to go and do the Q&A with the audience. But welcome back. Lovely to see you, and thank you so much for the More Than Of.
Always a pleasure, Danny. Thank you so much, and thank you to New Filmmakers. You guys are the best.
Thank you. Merced, everybody.